I am multitasking, which is not something I'm used to. Hi everyone, I'm Ian Harvey, massage therapist. Today we're going to talk a little bit about working at a massage franchise. So there's a lot of them out there. The one that I worked at was Massage Envy. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. But I worked there for about a year and a half, and it's kind of surprising to me that I'm talking about this subject because I never thought I'd be good at working at a massage franchise. I thought it would require too much communication, require too much kind of salesmanship, and I ended up being really successful. So I wanted to pass along some of the tips that I learned there. I'm hoping that some of this will be applicable no matter where you're working. So I worked in a couple different spas for about, I think, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. And what I liked about that environment and something that suited me well at that time was that I didn't need to know anyone. I didn't need to really follow up with anyone. I would see people once. This was in a tourist town. I would see people that once for their summer vacation or what have you, and then they'd be gone forever. And it was a kind of busy place, so there was always someone being, pushed in my direction. And I basically just had to be somewhat friendly, but I wasn't doing anything to build that spa practice. I wasn't responsible for the advertising. I wasn't responsible for my own image, really. The spa did all of that. And I wasn't really responsible for maintaining relationships. I was, but I didn't realize it at the time. I realized this like a year later or 2 years later. I was kind of putting out this certain vibe, this shut up vibe. Like, my fellow massage therapist would say, "Man, that last client talked my ear off." And I'd be like, "Clients do that?" What I didn't realize that I was doing was that I was just making myself kind of standoffish. And, that was fine for that environment. I wasn't bringing in extra business to the spa. I probably wasn't doing myself any favors. But I was able to sustain myself. I was able to do fine, and I saw no reason to really change. Then I moved. I lost my clientele, that automatic clientele I was getting from the spa, and then it was kind of a scary time for me because I didn't know what to do next. And so I went with a franchise. I worked at Massage Envy. I worked there for about a year and a half, and they were taking me on the tour. They were showing me the rooms. They were giving me the lay of the land. They left me alone in the back room for a while they went off to do something else. And I turned to another massage therapist and I said, he was a male massage therapist. And I said, what's it like being a male massage therapist here? Do you get plenty of clientele? And he said, "Get ready to sit on your butt." "What do you mean?" I said. "You're going to be sitting around a lot. Nobody wants a male massage therapist." That's all stuff for another episode. The stuff that male massage therapists go through, it's a little bit different. We have to kind of be on our game in certain ways, but we all have to be on our game in a lot of ways. So after 11 years, I don't think that there are strategies that men and women need to do differently. We don't necessarily need to present ourselves differently. But for everyone, we need to be on our game. And that was something that I figured out over those next 6 months. It was kind of a sink or swim situation. At the spa, there were slow days and there were busy days. But at Massage Envy, if you couldn't get a regular clientele, you were going to be sitting on your butt and getting madder and madder and scaring the new massage therapists. Starting at spas and just having the luxury of giving off that shut up vibe and then going to Massage Envy, something very interesting about Massage Envy was that it was the perfect environment for experimentation. Any little changes I made in my massage routine, any little changes I made in my communication skills changed how clients responded and changed whether they came back. And because they have that monthly massage that they basically have to go to, I was able to see, well, are these people coming back to me? Are these people just kind of continuing on that client treadmill? So it became a matter of making little tweaks in the ways that I interacted with my clients. How am I presenting myself when I meet these people? How am I presenting myself when I bring them back to the room, when I show them the table? There were these little experiments that I was experiencing where I was able to see whether people successfully got under the top covers. It was at Massage Envy when I realized how important it was to lift up the top cover and show them exactly where to go. It's then when I realized how important it was to mention removing your clothes and setting them over there, or else the clothes would end up wherever, or they would leave all their clothes on. So being able to make those little tweaks and see changes in clients' behavior and little changes that they make and the big changes like whether they rebook, that was kind of brought into sharp focus working at Massage Envy. So I learned a few things about how to really, never be sitting on my butt at Massage Envy, to always have that busy schedule. And it got to the point where I was too busy, and where I was one of the busier massage therapists at that particular location, and I actually had to reduce my hours because it was kind of rough on me. Massage Envy and the other massage franchises and even spas, even chiropractors have something that's different from when you're working on your own. When you're working on your own, you can choose how much time you have between clients. I personally put a full half hour between clients because it keeps me sane. At a massage franchise, I had 10 minutes, which sounded fine when I was signing up and when I was slow. But 10 minutes when you have a full day wall to wall, that's not 10 minutes to talk to your clients. That's 10 minutes to talk to your clients, change your room, talk to the new client. I forgot about washing my hands. That's in there too. Going to the bathroom. Heaven forbid you have to go to the bathroom. And, getting a snack. All this within 10 minutes. Anyway, in this environment, it is difficult to really get good, strong connections. It's easy to think of it as a factory, to think of it as a meat grinder, and it becomes easy to let things slide, like communication and the little things, the details. And so my first piece of advice is to find extra time, find different times for those details, because those are what's going to differentiate you in a very crowded situation. I think I had 30 massage therapists at the place I was working at. It may have been more. Find time to, first of all, build rapport. And I think that that's one of the most important parts of successful therapy, a successful therapeutic relationship. And that can be very difficult in that factory situation. So when can you find that time? You can find time beforehand, even if it's just a few seconds. For me, that meant when I would bring a client back, first of all, that first moment you meet them in the waiting room, the front desk has had them fill out their client information. You get a chance to read through that. And then it's time to go shake hands and go back. That first second is the first impression. And, you never get a second chance at your first impression. So spend that extra 5 seconds to not make that seem rushed. If you confidently go into that waiting room, smile, shake hands, introduce yourself, and then show them right this way, that is much more confidence-inspiring than rushing into the back, saying, Gina, and rushing them back to your room. Just consider that 5-second difference. It might seem like you're saving time by rushing that initial meeting, but it's creating an impression, and just 5 seconds can change that. I'm sorry if some of this seems preachy. I just want to bring things to the top of your mind that may have been subliminal before. And once those things are brought into awareness, they can be changed. So that first second is important, and so is what happens once you bring them to the room. What is it like as you step into that treatment room? Well, again, this is just a 5-second difference, but if you, this may be more like 15 seconds, but if you take the time to say, hey, I'm Ian, I specialize in a type of massage called myofascial release, and I can tell you more about that if you'd like, and I've been doing this for about 11 years. What would you like out of your massage today? So just that little bit of front-loading of information about yourself. That brings me to a tangent. When you work for yourself, you can front-load your clients with all sorts of information. You can use your blog, you can use your Facebook page, you can use your Instagram to let them know who you are, to let them know what the heck myofascial release is, to let them know who you are, what school you came from, what your therapeutic philosophy is, what you think massage can accomplish, how you think massage can fit into their life. But when you're at a massage franchise, they're the ones doing all that front loading, and none of it is about you. They're selling their brand. When you work for yourself, you can sell your brand, and people who come to see you will already love you because they'll have seen you in all these different circumstances. They'll have seen videos of you on Instagram. They'll have seen, your posts on Facebook, and they'll have been following you for a few months, and they'll say, man, I'm finally ready to see what this person's all about. But at Massage Envy, you've got that handshake. You've got what confidence you project as you bring them back to the room and then introduce yourself a little more thoroughly. And think about the difference between that introduction and a minimal introduction, which would be, all right, how can I help you today? It's a very big difference, and it's just a matter of seconds, of 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Besides that, before the massage, just being able to explain what's going to happen, explain how to lay down on the table, these are things that can make clients much more confident about you and about the massage they're about to receive. Realize that clients are as afraid of you as you are of them. And anything that you can do to allay their fears is just going to be impactful for the entire massage and for your entire relationship, which can be years long. So find time, those 5 seconds, 10 seconds before the massage, and find time during the massage. Think about what they asked about, what they talked about during the interview. If they talked about their low back, when you start working with their low back, ask them how the contact feels. Ask them when you're working down into their hips if they feel any sort of pain or sensation elsewhere, and take that opportunity to explain what you're doing. I'm not saying to talk for the whole time, but this is your chance to do a little bit of education, and this can be across the entire massage, 5 minutes of you saying words. And this can just be at the most relevant times, like when you're working with that painful low back. Explain why you're working with the hips. Explain why you're spreading that low back. And ask them more questions that you might not have had time for before the massage in that 3 minutes you had. So ask questions, educate, and let them know a little bit more about why you're moving so slowly. Let them know a little more about why you're sticking with that one point for so long, with that trigger point work, if that's the way you work. That's just another opportunity. And then after the massage, just ask again about the stuff that you've already built this what word am I looking for? This nascent relationship, the things that you've already talked about. So ask them again about that low back. Ask them again about anything that they may have brought up. So you can build rapport in a franchise setting. You've just got to find the time to do it and realize when you can use an extra 3 or 4 seconds here or there. Joseph asks, do I check with the client before providing education during the session, or do I assume everyone needs to hear the details? That's an excellent question. A frequent client complaint that I've heard from a lot of massage therapists, that I've heard from clients talking about other massage therapists, and I'm sure clients have said this about me, is that the therapist talk the whole time. And that is something that I want to avoid. I want to avoid kind of laying that on my clients. I want to avoid, doing something that isn't how they envision their ideal massage. So my advice here is to, use communication to talk about communication. You can ask beforehand, do you mind if I talk to you a bit about your hip? Or do you mind if I ask you more about this hip? That's perfectly okay to do. After you've done some explanation, you can say, is it all right that I'm talking about all of this myofascial release stuff? I'd be happy to just do the work. And just realize that when you ask those questions, people are going to be polite and they're going to say, "Oh no, you can talk all you want." So you may have to use some nonverbal cues. I just ask that you don't psych yourself out and think, "Well, nobody wants to hear this information. This person isn't here to hear me talk." And it's valid when clients don't want to hear massage therapists gab the whole time, but what I usually hear complaints about are massage therapists talking about drama at Massage Envy, or drama in their personal lives, or just personal stuff when the client just wants to relax. I don't hear a lot of clients complaining about the massage therapist telling them where their QL is, I think that's an important difference. But at the same time, I do think that there is, you do need to kind of take their nonverbal cues. If they're not talking a lot, then don't talk a lot yourself. If they are interested, then do feel free to elaborate, but realize that if you're leading the conversation, try to pull back yourself. It can be easy to kind of fill the entire hour with talk, and afterwards the client might realize that they feel exhausted. You might feel exhausted. So you might be the one that needs to pull back first, even if the client seems interested. So I do recommend educating, and I also recommend keeping it at a moderate level. So the second thing, or maybe fifth thing, I don't know. So you can build rapport before and during and after, and that's all very important. But none of that matters unless you make the client feel welcome. More specifically, that you make them feel welcome back. I talked earlier about the client treadmill. And at massage franchises, it's so easy to just call in and say, "Hey, do you have a 3 o'clock today?" "All right, thanks, I'll be there." And whoever you see is whoever you see. And that's how you get your initial clients at Massage Envy and the other ones. And there's nothing wrong with that. And some clients are happy being on that client treadmill for, their entire year-long or 10-year-long membership there. But the way to kick butt at massage franchises is to convince those clients to get off that treadmill, and instead to call in and say, "Hey, is Ian available today? Oh, is he available tomorrow?" And so that takes a little doing, but something that I eventually came to realize was that most clients want to come back to someone. They want to feel welcome. It's not that. It's the reverse of that, or inverse or converse. It's that if you don't invite them back, they think to themselves, well, I shouldn't ask for them, they must not have liked me. They might not think it in all those words, but if you don't give a gesture at the end to let them know that you would love to see them back, then they might think, I'll just see whoever's available. They might feel awkward about asking for you. They might feel like they are putting you out, which I know seems crazy, but it's hard as a client to know whether you are annoying, to know whether you had a real connection, whether you have a real therapeutic relationship, or whether, am I just another annoyance during the day? Because massage envy and massage franchises and chiropractic offices and places like that, it can seem like a factory. It can seem like a grind, and clients can pick up on that. So think about what you can do to reassure them that you would love to see them back. It's pretty easy. After the massage, you can just say to them, Janet, I'm pretending your name is Janet. So Janet, I'd love to see you back. Next time you call, just ask for me. My name's Ian. And if they give you cards to give out that card. It's as simple as that. When I started doing that, my rebooking rate, it skyrocketed. It was amazing. Like, after I had this revelation, I felt kind of silly because it does seem like such a small change and maybe even obvious. Maybe as I'm saying this, you're like, Ian, you're so dumb. But once I started just doing this small little thing, I started getting these rebookings. And then it made sense to me. It dawned on me that all these people need is a little bit of permission. Permission to ask. And that's so true in so many areas of life. Like, it can be so hard to ask for help or to ask for what you need. And we can do a lot of things as massage therapists to let our clients know that you can ask for less pressure. You can ask to have your feet worked on for 5 whole minutes. Like, depending on how we present ourselves, we can embolden clients, we can empower clients, or we can unconsciously enforce this regime of silence and of acceptance of the expert. And we have to break that. We can break that just with the littlest things like, what did you think about that footwork? Just asking that can give that person implicit permission to say, oh, I loved it. Could you do some more of that? Yeah, I can do some more of that. Or, before you flip them, is there anything you'd like me to go back to? Yeah, I think my shoulders could use some more work. And suddenly they realize they can ask for that stuff. So, massage envy. Tangent over. At massage envy, if you say, so Janet, I'd love for you to come back. Just next time you call in, feel free to ask for me, okay? Card. That gives them that explicit permission. Explicit permission is the biggest thing I have to say in this whole video. This whole video could have been 3 minutes long, but what's the point of that? Leslie says, aren't therapists who have that drive to take people off the client treadmill the therapists who are most likely to leave the franchise environment successfully? I think that's true. Like, I think that if you're good at getting repeat clientele in a franchise environment, you're likely to succeed in any environment. But you don't need to. If you enjoy the franchise environment and you get good at getting clients off that client treadmill, something really cool happens, which is having predictable days. That might not sound amazing to, therapists who have been doing this forever or who have full books, but having a full book at Massage Envy of clients who you know and who you've seen on a month-to-month basis for days, weeks, and years, that it's so reassuring and comforting. Like, I know that my Friday is going to be full, and I know all 5 of these people, and this is going to be a great day. This is going to be an easy day. So, yes, I do think that those people are more likely to succeed elsewhere, but it makes those days at Massage Envy even less stressful, even easier. Like, Massage Envy can be a little drama filled. It can be because of the sheer mass of massage therapists. There can reach this critical mass of drama. And if you've got that full day, like, you can just kind of be somewhere else and just working on what you work on and not worrying about what's happening up front or what's happening with management. And as a massage therapist with a full book who is constantly being requested, that also gives you a certain amount of power in these franchise environments where you may not have had a ton of power before that. That's why I was able to ask for those shorter days. That's why I was able to ask for a couple of raises, and I got them. I don't know if that happens at your franchise, because it varies from owner to owner. And same thing with chiropractic and other clinical practices like that. Having that full book can give you a few more options. The last thing that you can do as a massage therapist working in a franchise type environment to differentiate yourself is to show off. And that can be when you're doing that education. When I would talk to clients, during that 5 minutes of the session when I would be explaining what I was doing, I would talk to them about their anatomy. I would talk to them about why their low back pain may be related to this sensitivity they feel in their hips. Why that low back pain might be related to that shooting sensation that goes down their hips and their hamstring into their foot. I could talk about why this headache up in their temples might be related to their jaw and why I would like to work there. So show off your knowledge. Let them know that, hey, you've got some expertise about how the body is put together. And you can show off in ways that people might not expect in that kind of high-paced environment. And that's to do that just a little bit of extra stuff. Think about those 5 extra seconds before the massage, during the interview. Apply that to the massage itself. What are these little tiny things I can do to show just a little bit of extra technique, to show a little bit of extra understanding of what feels good during a massage? So I'm talking about things like plucking up the ankle and manipulating the leg as you work with the hip. Things like bringing the arm into different positions as you work with the shoulder, as you work with the rotator cuff. Things that you know how to do and that are relatively easy and don't add time to the massage, but that can fall by the wayside in that fast-paced environment where you're trying to give a massage that is kind of applicable to everyone. It's possible to truly customize these massages to every single person, even in that limited time, just with that little bit of extra communication while you're doing that movement. Let me know when this feels like a good stretch. How does this movement feel? Do you feel this in your hip? Do you feel this in your low back? Just by asking those questions during the massage and doing those little extra things that are easy to leave behind in those high-paced environments. Those are ways of showing off, and you definitely should show off. I did what I could to differentiate myself in that environment, and I think that was another big part of it. And that includes things like attention to detail, including a little extra neck work, including a little extra footwork, including that hip work. These are things that a lot of my clients in that environment said, wow, why has no one else ever worked there? And that's not to denigrate my fellow massage therapists. It's just to point out that those things are easy to leave behind when things are so fast-paced, especially if you get into that treadmill yourself. You're not seeing a lot of the same clients, so you kind of fall into a generic massage, into a broadly applicable massage. And it's great to have that baseline routine, but leaving out those customizations and leaving out those little bits of extra flourish, little bits of extra attention to detail, can kind of make you blend in with just all those other massage therapists who they've seen over the past 12 months, 2 years. So those little extra things to differentiate yourself. Upselling to 90 minutes can be a lifesaver, and it can be a huge moneymaker. And so that's something that I'll bring up for clients who want that full 45 minutes on their back. They tell me about all their shoulder problems, their neck problems, and I'm 45 minutes in, I'm still working on their back. It's good to ask beforehand, do you mind if I cut out some leg work so that I can work more on your back? And, it's only 50 minutes, so you only have that limited amount of time. You don't get your full hour. And that's a good time to ask. So I've got an extra half hour after this. Would you like to add 30 minutes onto the session? So that can happen right then. You run out to the front desk and let them know, hey, they've upgraded to 90 minute. And you can say that after the massage. So things were a little bit rushed this time. This extra 30 minutes is only X amount of money. Is that something you'd be interested in doing next time? All right, well, just let them know up at the front desk. It's super easy at Massage Envy and places like that. That's something that I miss, is letting someone else deal with money and stuff like that. And so you can kind of plant that idea in their head, and that becomes easy to do. And it's an easy way of making extra money and filling up your schedule. Rosalba says, most clients have an unrealistic expectation that a 50-minute massage will be plenty of time to address the whole body, and I agree with that. If you feel like, for newer massage therapists and for people who are just starting to work with that 50-minute time block, if you feel like you need to truncate the massage, not the time, but the amount of body that you work on, like if you just like to work from the hips up, just ask that, and most clients will be receptive to that, especially if you explain why. And I think it's a much better experience for you and the client not trying to do that full body. If the client still wants the full body, just let them know that means that you won't be able to give a whole lot of emphasis to that shoulder problem, to that low back problem. But it's a time crunch, and these days I do appreciate having a full 60 minutes or that 75 minutes. So Morgan says, can you make a script of some of the little things or permissions you gave on a daily basis to let clients know that you want them to come back to you? I don't want to be a parrot, but just to get comfortable saying those things would be nice until I make it my own dialogue. It would sound like this. Like, Janet, I'm talking to Janet again. So Janet, I'd love to work with your low back again. So next time you book, make sure to ask for me. And I would give them a card. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. In fact, I said a lot there, and even that's okay. If you stutter through something, if something's difficult at first, realize that the information is getting through. Your client's not going to remember the stuttering. Your client's going to remember how you were presenting yourself, they're going to remember your intention. And I look at your own experience with people who you admire, people who, like doctors that you like to go to, massage therapists that you like to go to. The things that they say aren't always perfect or smooth. But you don't really remember that part. And just realize that the same goes for your clients. They're not going to remember you struggling to come up with how to talk about the QL. They're not going to remember you struggling to talk about asking them to come back. They're going to remember the information. They're going to remember the intent. And really, it just has to be the shortest little sentence. I'd love to see you again, so feel free to ask for me next time you book. Okay, bye. So it's just put that intention out there and realize that you can keep it simple. And yeah, Rosalba says clients remember your touch, and I think that is important. If you are inviting verbally, and if you're inviting therapeutically and via contact, that invitation back becomes very easy for them to accept. You're not putting upon them by asking them to ask for you. They're already going to be convinced, and I think it's good to keep that in mind.